This is the aftermath of a fiery collision between a newly rebuilt Norfolk Southern locomotive and a truck hauling steel beams. This all happened in West Charlotte, North Carolina on Tuesday, March 5th, 2024, after the truck got stuck on the tracks. Okay, so first things first. The Gaston County Office of Emergency Management and Fire Services said the truck and train operators were safe and accounted for. Furthermore, the Charlotte Fire Department said there were no hazmat spills or concerns. Now, several fire departments responded to the scene, and I'm crediting their images in the top left of the screen. In this footage of the aftermath, you can see the tractor trailer that got hit is toast. This part here would have been the front end of the truck. What it was hauling was definitely an oversized load. You can see this was quite a fire. The Steel Creek Fire Department called in its tanker to get water on the scene. This is often done when no fire hydrants are in the area. The water can be drafted by a fire engine from a portable tank. Of course, trains can't stop quickly, and the truck was pushed past the crossing. That's when it took out the crossing gates here. As for the locomotive, the front handrails are bent and some are missing, and the plastic where the number boards are has melted. Amazingly, its headlight was still burning even after the fire was put out. As I mentioned earlier, the locomotive was recently rebuilt. NS 6430, formerly an Electromotive Division SD40-2, is now designated as an SD40-3. There are many Electromotive Division SD40-2s still on the rails today. Like a reliable old pickup truck, it's something the railroads don't want to get rid of. For the most part, this SD40-2 looks like it did when it was built, but frankly, it can be challenging to spot the differences between it and NS 6430. Aside from internal differences, the spotting feature of the Norfolk Southern SD40-3 is its new custom Admiral cab. This is still considered to be what's called a standard cab and doesn't have quite as much protection as the modern wide-nose diesels that are very common today. Here's the inside of a standard cab locomotive. And here's what it's like inside a wide-nose diesel. Now, you observant rail fans out there may have noticed that 6430 was running long hood forward, meaning the long hood where the engine is was in front of the operator's cab. This would have given the crew more protection during the collision, although I would argue the front end of the locomotive is still pretty strong. Norfolk Southern predecessor Southern Railway was well known for operating its engines long hood forward. In fact, the long hood on many of its engines was designated as the front. As you can see, the visibility in this old Southern SD40 wasn't great when running like this. I actually once heard a story from a former Southern employee that the railroad began to run its engines like this because the company's trains kept hitting logging trucks in North Carolina, and the long hood would provide more protection. Although I wouldn't consider what happened here in North Carolina to be a high-profile incident, it does come just days after a Norfolk Southern derailment in Pennsylvania that's made national headlines. That incident involved 3 trains. This locomotive ended up in the Lehigh River. This happened in Northampton County, Pennsylvania on March 2, 2024. According to a press release put out by local law enforcement, no one was injured, but there was a diesel fuel spill into the river, and polypropylene plastic pellets were released from one of the derailed cars. Now, on March 4, 2024, Norfolk Southern put out a press release that said they were correcting false and misleading claims. Part of that press release addressed the company's safety record, saying in part, quote, "The company's mainline accident rate is the lowest it has been in years and is among the best of the North American Class I rails." The press release also addressed CEO Alan Shaw's salary and the company's engagement with investor Ancora Holdings. I'm not even going to try and explain all that. Stepping outside the C-suite and putting the shareholders aside, let's just be thankful that no one was hurt in either of these recent incidents.